afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you, sir.
Aniket is from Thane.
Yes, sir.
I heard this Thane name when I was studying in schools. Why would I have heard it?
Sir, it might be because the first railway was inaugurated between Mumbai and Thane initially.
Yes, good. Your mother is working in Jila Parishad, Thane.
Yes, sir, as superintendent of MDM scheme.
Okay. Tell me what are the main responsibilities?
So the main responsibility is the implementing the scheme in Ambarnath Taluka of Thane district. It entails both the quality, checking that the grains are of required quality, as well as the quantity, getting the demand from the schools and forwarding it to the supplier.
How many schools are under her?
Around 215.
Only that much?
Sir, in Ambarnath Taluka. In Ambarnath Taluka, yes.
In one taluka?
Yes.
Achha, okay. But there have been a lot of allegations, quality is bad, food is not cooked properly, quantity is not given properly. There have been allegations throughout the country.
Yes, sir, and especially during the start of the scheme. But now they have been quite sorted out.
When the scheme was started?
Sir, there's a long history. It was started by 1960, Tamil Nadu in 1960s, but at the union level in 1995.
So it's 27, 28 years now.
Yes, sir.
And there is some change also with the scheme. It's called something else now.
Sir, it is called Poshan now.
PM Poshan
PM
scheme
Poshan,
or something.
yes.
Okay. You have done energy science. Tell me, in India, energy is used in what all sectors? 4 or 5 sectors.
Sir, energy is in fact used in everywhere. So starting from the industrial sector, the services sector, residential sector, agriculture sector, transportation sectors. Everywhere energy is used. It is the basic form.
Okay. See, when constitutionality of a law is challenged, what the courts do?
Sir, when it is challenged, they form a constitutional bench, which is usually composed of 5 judges, if I am not wrong. And then they decide the question, because Supreme Court is also considered as the final interpreter of the Constitution.
So, what criteria the Supreme Court adopts?
So, there are these various doctrines that they adopt, and it depends on case to case which doctrine they adopt.
Like doctrines, what all doctrines?
Sir, recently for the hijab law, they adopted doctrine of essentiality, or they adopt doctrine of colorable legislation. When there are conflicting legislations by state and center.
So they look into whether fundamental rights are being taken away.
Yes, sir.
Then they look into
Whether
duties also, fundamental duties.
no, sir. Fundamental duties they don't look
Why?
into, because they are not enforceable.
If they want to uphold the law, they may look into fundamental duties also.
Sir, I'm not sure. on that.
Not sure. Achha, doctrine of patricy. What is that? Patry. Parent patry. Have you heard of that?
Sorry, sir. I'm not aware of it.
Something in case of Bhopal gas tragedy. Some act was made
Sorry, sir. I'm not aware.
that for settlement of claims,
Okay.
government will further negotiate.
Okay. I'll have to read, sir, on this.
Okay.
But,
How many companies we have now? I was reading in newspaper that this last year we had a number of companies, new companies came into existence.
sir, total number of companies?
New companies. Growth over last year. See, every year we have new companies
Yes, sir.
under the Companies Act.
So there might be a lot. I'm not aware of the
Not aware.
numbers.
Which sector do you think many companies would have come?
Sir, it would mostly be in the services sector and especially the internet-based ones.
Have you heard of National Financial Reporting Authority?
Yes, sir. I have heard of it.
What is this?
Sir,
Under what act it is?
Sir, I'm not aware of the act, but it is an authority which sets the standard for reporting of the government, and it can also penalize if the reporting is not in compliance with it.
Something was coming in newspaper that recently Government of India have amended some 3-4 acts, that Chartered Accountant Act, Companies Act, and one more, that Cost and Account Act or something. So that was also in that context.
Okay, sir, I'll have to read
That
on it. Yes.
if some mischief is done by a chartered accountant or company secretary and all, those acts don't have teeth. So they wanted to bring some people from outside a disciplinary authority and all. So this also can play this role.
The National Accounting Reporting Authority. Sir, I'm not sure of it. I'll have to read. Thank you, sir.
So you have done MTech in engineering, energy, science and engineering.
Yes, sir. It was a dual degree course actually.
Okay. Can you tell me more about this discipline?
Sir, energy science is a discipline which deals with majorly energy efficiencies of the system. It also touches upon the conventional sources, but it majorly focuses on the renewable energy sources like solar, wind, hydrogen and nuclear to some extent.
Okay. Why do you think nuclear energy has not taken off?
Sir, the major reason is the safety, and especially after the 2011 Fukushima incident, many countries have backtracked on the development. And in addition to that, the plants are also very capital expensive. So these are the two reasons, and especially if I consider the Maharashtra case, the land acquisition or the public perception is also an issue. So these three are the reasons.
Okay. What is supercritical thermal power plants?
Sir, I am not aware of it.
Okay. You have worked on Hyperloop project also.
Yes, sir.
So what was the outcome of this feasibility analysis?
Sir, my project was to analyze the feasibility from energy point of view. So the outcome was for the Mumbai-Pune route, the Hyperloop was coming out to be around 3 times more energy expensive than an equivalent bullet train, but it was around 40% less energy expensive than the airplane.
Okay. And what about you didn't do the cost analysis and all?
No, sir, we did not go into the cost analysis.
So what energy you would have used? Electricity.
Sir,
for Hyperloop?
There are two components to this. One is the operating energy, and the other is we also did the life cycle energy analysis, the building and then disposal as well.
Okay. And do you think Hyperloop is otherwise financially viable for India in some of the routes?
Sir, it would be viable only if the speeds are increased. So when the idea was conceived, the speeds were 1300 km per hour, but the Mumbai-Pune route just came down to 360. So that doesn't make it viable. If the speeds are increased, then it might become viable.
Okay. What was your role in Bain and Company?
Sir, I was an associate consultant.
And what did you do?
Sir, so whenever a case came to Bain, there were 2 work streams. Basically, a problem was divided into 2 parts. And one work stream was handled by a consultant and associate consultant. My work was to assist the consultant in forming the strategy for the problem solving, gathering the data and drawing out insights out of it.
So which industry did you work?
So there were 2 industries. First case was NGO, the second case was real estate.
Okay. So I think it is a very lucrative and a very diverse career in consulting. So why did you leave the job and prepare for civil services?
Sir, both of my parents are state government employees with public oriented job. So I already had some inclination towards public services. And when I was working in Bain, I used to discuss with my father how government itself these days is hiring consulting firm. So at that point, I thought that if I can use my knowledge of consulting, of forming strategies or data directly for public welfare, then that would be great. And then in COVID, actually, I took this decision when I saw my father working in Vande Bharat mission, and I saw the impact a government officer can do on ground, and hence I decided to switch my career.
So can you frame in briefly the changes which is needed in India's energy policy?
Sir, one of the change I would say is switching to the renewables. The second thing is also the distribution, in the sense there should be a regular power supply. Currently we don't have it, And the third is we need to reduce the import dependence, because currently we import 47% of our energy security. So these three are the policy areas I would focus on.
So what do we import in 47%?
So it's majorly oil followed by coal.
Okay, all right. What do you think is the future of Ola and Uber, given the very less number of drivers are now found on Ola and Uber?
Sir, I think from the demand side, the demand will be there, considering the convenience it has provided to the corporates. But from the supply side, there has been complaints from driver because their commission has been shrinking. If Ola Uber does not address that issue, then the number of drivers would certainly decrease. But otherwise, I see it increasing.
Okay, all right. Why are many electric two-wheelers catching fires?
So there are multiple reasons. The reason is that the battery is of lithium ion. One, whenever it is subjected to high heat, there is a chance of catching fire, which we see in the Indian conditions. Second, there have been also reports of manufacturing defects where the QC was not done. And the third is that any hard hit to the battery also leads to catching of fire. So basically, we need to have the quality check in place and also tune the batteries to the Indian conditions.
Okay, what should be done to tune the battery to the Indian conditions?
Sir, a very simple solution is shielding it from heat or deploying the cooling solutions. And in addition to that, the battery should be well safeguarded. For example, in the four-wheelers, the battery is right beneath the floor. We need to safeguard it so that whenever a car goes through a speed breaker, it does not hit the speed breaker and catch fire.
Okay. Last question. You are automobile enthusiast interested in self-driving, right? Road
Yes,
trips.
yes.
How do you prepare for a road trip?
So since I also like to drive, the preparation begins with the road that I would take. Then I decide the car, and then the stops, where will I stop for lunch or dinner, and accordingly I plan my road trip.
So you take your own car or somebody else's car?
Sir, if the road trip is around my house, I take my own car. Otherwise, I usually take a public transport to the nearest location and hire a self-driving car like Zoom car.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Aniket, recently Arunachal Pradesh has passed a resolution for the entire state to be included in the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. What does this imply? What are the implications of a state being completely included in a 6th schedule of the Constitution?
Ma'am, whenever a state is included in 6th schedule, there is a district council which is formed, and that district council can locally administer various subjects in that region. For example, charging the ferries or collecting sub-tax, or even the local disputes are resolved in the village councils itself. So it gives some level of autonomy to the district and also some kind of the royalty accruing from forest produce or minerals are also given to the tribals.
How is this different from the 5th schedule?
Ma'am, 5th schedule need not be for the tribal areas. It can be for any area where the aboriginals are present, and 6th schedule is majorly focused on tribal areas.
Okay. What do you understand by ethical AI?
And artificial intelligence is
Ethical AI.
yes. Ethical AI would basically mean using artificial intelligence in an ethical way, and that ethics would be defined the similar way as we define it for humans on some standard.
How has artificial being used in a non-ethical way then?
Ma'am, it can be deployed in multiple ways. For example, if we see the facial recognition software, then there have been reports where for a job search, it did not show the black people. So in such cases, it has been unethically deployed. And in addition to facial recognition, collecting the biometric data, analyzing it, all of these might lead to unethical use of AI.
What are the constitutional safeguards that are available to a civil servant?
Ma'am, it is majorly the Article 311, which which provides some kind of restrictions on directly dismissing a civil servant. That is, he is given a chance to defend himself, and also a specific authority can dismiss him. So these two are the protections by Constitution.
Do you think in the recent times there has been a more centralization of power when it comes to the civil servants and their duties which they are giving to the states? So the states have less power and control over the civil servants, and the center has been trying to even dilute this further.
Ma'am, currently I think it is not happening, but there is a proposal which is being undertaken, that is, center can depute any specific civil servant to the center, and that too without consent of states.
So, but don't you think it has happened recently in West Bengal? So many instances where the IAS officers are called from the state, and the state is not ready to relieve, but these IAS officers or any of the senior civil servant, they get a notice from the center that you're supposed to report to office at the center in New Delhi the very next day. So this is happening.
Yes, ma'am, that is happening, but till now there is a consent of state also which is required.
Yeah.
Going ahead, that might be not required as per the new amendment they are bringing. So in that case, there might be more centralization, but states are already opposing it, and there might be a common way out of it, is what I feel.
What could be your approach to this? What is your view on this? What should be the right approach to this?
Ma'am, the major reason why central government is trying to depute more civil servants to center is that they themselves have shortage of officers. So in that aspect, I think the short-term solution can be we recruit slightly more officers, not much, around 200. But in the long term, maybe we can change the jobs of IAS officer. For example, there are some jobs which can be done by the state employees as well, like maybe the commissioner of museum or such kind of jobs, so that the pool of IAS officer available for central deputation increases. So we need to hire slightly more and rethink of the jobs that are being allocated to IAS officer.
I see in your DAF that you've been to the youth exchange program.
Yes.
Was this by Ministry of Youth Affairs that you went?
Yes.
So a lot of these youth exchange programs are undertaken by Ministry of Youth Affairs every year. We are taken to China, South Korea, a lot of Southeast Asian countries.
Yes.
Do you think these youth exchange programs are helpful? What are the outcomes of these programs?
Ma'am, I think they are helpful.
How has it helped you, and what specific contribution you made after coming back from the youth exchange program?
Ma'am, the way they are helpful is that, one, it is with respect to confidence building measures between the two countries, helping in exchange of people and ideas. The way it helped me was I observed various attributes in the people of China. For example, their respect for each other, the time hygiene, or even the patience while waiting on the road. And that has helped me grow the sense of belongingness towards the country. For example, while driving, I don't cut lanes now, which initially was my natural instinct. So all of these small observations, I feel, did make me a better citizen.
I think, yeah, that's it from my end.
Okay,
Thank you.
Aniket, what do you know about the coal shortage and power crisis that we may face right now?
Yes, sir, we are facing a power shortage currently, and that is majorly because our own domestic coal production has remained stagnant since last 4 to 5 years, and we are dependent on importing of coal, and the global supply chains have also been disrupted. So these two are the factors why we are facing the shortage.
What's our peak power requirement and what is our peak power production? So what is this gap between these two?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recollect the number.
Okay. Are you familiar with the concept called power conundrum?
No, sir, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. I'm going to give you a case study situation. You're appointed in a district, and in one of the schools in your district, the parents are protesting, saying that the meals are being cooked by a person from a particular community or background, and you have to intervene and you have to address this problem. What would you do?
Sir, I think I would make them understand that this...
Steps, how, what?
Okay. So first of all, I'll hold a meeting with them, and I'll make them understand that this program is designed for the nutritional enhancing the nutritional support to their children, and if it does not happen, then it is they who are losing and not the cook. The second aspect would be that I would make them understand that this is violation of the constitution, discriminating on the basis of caste, and if this continues, then it can also lead to serious legal consequences. And the third thing is, I myself might eat the food of
Might or will?
I will.
Right, okay.
I will eat the food cooked by the cook along with these children, to show them that it does not affect me in any way or anyone in any way. So these three are the steps I would take.
Okay. You have worked both pre-COVID and during COVID.
Yes, sir.
How was the experience difference? How did the nature of your job change?
Sir, for me it changed drastically because consulting is a traveling job. So initially I used to travel a lot, but after COVID it was mostly based from home. One positive was that I could spend more time with my family, but the negative was that just sitting on a laptop for 12-13 hours was very taxing as compared to office.
So how has the segment, as in consulting segment, recovered from the COVID decline? What is the current status of consulting sector?
Sir, as I have heard from my friends in the company, they have recovered even more than what was there in pre-COVID, because many companies were facing loss during COVID, and now they want a strategy going ahead. In addition to that, for the employees, the travel and all has resumed once again.
I find this very unique because you go to an industry and speak to people who have 20-30 years experience in that industry, and you give ideas with your experience in other sectors. How does this work? Because when you go to any industry, you're speaking to veterans in that industry.
Yes, sir. So you put it briefly, very rightly. The way Bain does it is that whenever it approaches a client, first we do what is known as an X-ray. So basically talking to clients and then understanding the main pinpoint, what is the problem. Then with the experience that Bain has, it and also undertakes expert calls or the secondary data and the in-house research team to help the company solve the problem. And these benchmarks, the expert opinion is the main thing I would suggest that consulting firms contribute to the industry.
Okay. Self-driving cars. You have talked about self-driving road trips.
Yes.
Where are we on self-driving cars right now? Is it active anywhere?
So currently, it's just in the testing phase, but we have some kind of autonomous driving assistance cars. That is, they follow the lane marking, or they turn by themselves on the well-demarcated road. But for self-driving cars to be a reality in India, we need to improve our road conditions so that they can follow it and drive.
Let's consider a hypothetical scenario where a self-driving car gets into an accident. Who's responsible now? The owner of the car, the driver, the company that runs, the software writer? Who is responsible for the accident?
Sir, the way a car decides and gets into accident is coded by the company, and it is their algorithm. So I think company would be responsible for the
Accidents of a self-driving car.
Yes, sir.
Last question. Best routes for a road trip in India?
Sir, I would say it's Himachal Pradesh.
Himachal Pradesh, not Bombay, Goa road, or
Sir, definitely not Bombay.
not the Goa road or the Pune Bombay road.
Sir, I personally prefer a road which is in the Ghats, so that's why I suggested Himachal Pradesh. A straight road, then even the Bangalore-Mysore highway is very good.
Okay, Aniket, your interview is over.